Hey everybody, so I'm going to go over a basic tutorial on TradingView and I'm going to show you how I set up my chart as well. So first off, this is dark themed, right? You can find that in the settings. But I do want to go over this whole system is called TradingView. You can download it on the App Store. You can find it online, however you want to do it. I do also pay for the membership, which is like 15 bucks a month, just so I can get the ability to change the time frames to what I want. I can do like 3 days. You can't do that with this basic membership. Um, but right now I have this on Bitcoin. If you want to search up your ticker or stock, you can click here and just type in what you want. There's different ones, right? So if you're looking at Bitcoin, you have Bitstamp, Coinbase, Crypto, Binance. All of them look a little bit different because Bitcoin might not have came out on Bitstamp until 2014, whenever it came out on Kraken in 2013, for example. So the chart's going to go. They all look a little bit different, and that happens whenever you're looking at any type of crypto, right? Whenever the crypto is listed on the exchange, it'll show the the candles from that point in time. Now, if you want to add indicators on here, you should already have volume standard. But if you want to add any sort of indicators, you're going to have to go to the indicator button here. The way I like to set this up is I like to use MACD, which is it's moving average convergence divergence. Okay, you click that on there and it pops up. Let me get rid of all these actually. So I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so then you have the MACD on here. And then I want to add the stochastic RSI. Okay, those two work really well together. And then I want to use the RSI, so the relative, let's just put RSI, relative strength index. Okay, and I pair all of these together. They normally work really well and they complement each other. This is pretty much the majority of the indicators that you need. You can get very, very far with just these three indicators. Really just the stochastic RSI and probably the MACD, but the RSIs can be really helpful as well. And I'll break down these in another video too. So that's how you put your indicators on there. You can change the color if you right click in there and you go to settings. You can change whatever colors you want. I keep them pretty standard. Okay, now if you want to change, so to only look at the price data, you can just double click in there. So each one of these currently, if I zoom in pretty close, each one of these candles is a week because I have it on the 1 week, right? Like this candle right here was Monday 19th June 2021. Okay, and then this is Monday 26th July 2021. So 1 week, the next week, the next week, the next week, etc. On the right here, you've got price, right? So during this week, the price was roughly $36,000. Okay, and then you can change this from a weekly all the way down to a daily, right? Now each one of these candles is 1 day. We can zoom in here, make it look somewhat nicer. And then this 1 day candle was Friday the 11th, April 2025. This was Saturday the 12th, April 2025. Now the chart's always going to look different. When you zoom down, the indicators as well will look different when you zoom down in time frames. So each time frame shows a different pattern within all of these charts. So if I go up to a 3 day, you can see there's a pretty big change. It's kind of hard to see it without putting both time frames next to each other, but I guess we could actually try that here. So let's look at the very end of this. You notice that the 3-day, you have this getting ready to pass through the 0 line, and then you've got this RSI way up here. It's got this little curve here. If I go to a weekly and we look at the end, it looks dramatically different. Okay, when you're charting, you want to take the biggest time frame and just kind of keep that in your mind. So like a monthly, and you want to look at the indicators and then zoom down into a weekly and then kind of judge everything off of that monthly. And then if you zoom down to a 3-day, you want to keep everything in your mind from a monthly, from a weekly, and then the 3-day, and so on and so forth, to make your decisions on buying and selling. Now there's a lot of things that you can do with TradingView. It's very, very helpful. You have all of these different trend tools, so if you want to draw any kind of trend lines, you can do that. You have horizontal lines for support and resistance, and those are pretty much the only things that I personally use, but trend lines are important. You break a trend line, you're probably going to go up a lot of the time as long as you confirm. Okay, if we go down to this next one, you have Fibonacci retracements, you have Fibonacci circles, you have Fib webs, you have Gaunt fans. Mainly the one that I use here is like a Fibonacci retracement, and there's different settings in there. I might do a video explaining a Fibonacci retracement later on down the line, but currently this is just a tutorial on what you can do on TradingView. The next one here, you've got Elliott wave impulses, which Elliott waves are really important. I really like to use them. It helps me judge where we are in a cycle. Just a quick update on the Elliott wave. So this full cycle here, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. That's how you draw that out. This is really helpful for predicting tops and bottoms of markets, and I go over that in the Patreon whenever I'm judging when BTC, Bitcoin, is going to top. That is pretty much the only thing I do on here. I do use Elliott wave corrective waves as well, and some of these also. This one here, you can have price ranges, right? So you can take a range from this bottom point to this top point, and it'll give you a percentage of the movement. That's one way to do it, and it'll stay there. Okay, I normally, if I want to get a percentage to move, I would use this measure here and just grab the bottom and go to the top. It doesn't stay whenever you move around, so that's helpful with this. This one has a brush, so you can draw things if you want to on here, right? You can point to certain things, which I might do that in the Telegram whenever I'm trying to say what I'm buying and trying to point to specific things. In the Patreon, I will put boxes for buys where I plan to buy certain items on supports, and that's pretty helpful to kind of just look back in the place them here and then look back in the future and see how your price lands in that box. And then you can use arcs for Adam and Eve bottoms, for example, or, well, it's showing like rounding bottoms, for example. You could use Adam and Eve bottoms, or cup and handles, however you want to really do that. Okay, so that's really helpful. Anything else? You got text here, right? If you ever need to use that. For the most part, that's pretty much everything that I use. If you want to like get rid of mass drawings at one time or indicators at one time, you can go here, remove one drawing. It's going to get rid of that trend line over there. Okay, so it clears everything up for you. If you do want to compare charts, I'll do this every once in a while as well. You can click here and let's compare Ethereum with Bitcoin, for example. So you click the bottom box here and then you go to ETH, and then you can have Ethereum show up here. I actually have this on a different type of chart here, and I'll kind of break that down, but I wanted to show you how you can compare. If you hover over this line on the bottom, it'll show you the same date and time on the top chart as well. So you can kind of compare and see if like the S&P is similar with Bitcoin or gold is similar with Bitcoin, if it goes up together or down together, vice versa. Okay, so that's a little helpful there. You can do price alerts as well. And then another thing that you can do, I really just use these Japanese candlesticks, but you can always change it to a line chart just like what I had. This is pretty helpful whenever you're looking at trend lines to kind of see when they break trend lines and price starts to go up. If you have a trend line here, you had a little bit of a fake out here, but whenever you broke through, retested, it was a bloodbath. So that's another helpful tool there. And then you can use bars here. I don't really like using these all that much, but I know people that do. So I basically just use these candles. Also, if you want to look for like, you can mark things as favorites. If you want to use smooth moving averages, like SMA 50. Boom, to where you can have your lines here for support and resistance as well. Okay, so that should be enough for everyone. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. If you want to lock the chart, you can, to where you can't erase your drawings. But that should give you an idea on how to get all this set up and start trading. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it, and can't wait for the next video.